Okay, so if you were around in the 1980s, you absolutely know the name Bubbles. He wasn't just Michael Jackson's pet chimpanzee, he was a global celebrity in his own right. But his life is this incredible story that's really told in two completely different acts, one of just unbelievable fame, and another quieter life that is, honestly, just as fascinating. And this, right here, is what his whole story is about. The contrast is just stark. On one side, you've got the superstar who wore tuxedos and toured the world, and on the other, an alpha ape who leads his troop and now literally hates cameras. It's an insane transformation. So how on earth do you get from one to the other? Well, it all started in a place you would never, ever expect. And to understand where he is now, we have to go back to Act 1. This was a completely surreal chapter of fame and a lifestyle that, let's be honest, very few humans, let alone animals, have ever come close to experiencing.
You know, his story doesn't kick off on a Hollywood soundstage. It starts in a biomedical research lab in Austin, Texas, a place that bred primates for animal testing. He was just a baby when Michael Jackson bought him, and in that one moment, his entire life was set on this wild, new path.
So he gets purchased in '83, and then boom, his fame just explodes. By 1987, he's a global sensation on the Bad World Tour. A year later, he's living at the legendary Neverland Ranch. But then, as we get into the early 2000s, biology starts to kick in, and that changed everything.
During those years at Neverland, he was treated less like a pet and more like a person. He slept in a crib in Jackson's own bedroom. He was toilet trained, wore human clothes, and Jackson even claimed he helped out with chores like dusting. It was a completely human-like existence.
His celebrity was on a whole other level. We're not just talking about a pet tagging along with his owner. No, he was treated like a full-on dignitary. During the Bad Tour in Japan, he actually sat down for a formal tea ceremony with the Mayor of Osaka. The world press went crazy, and it just cemented his iconic status.
But, not everybody was on board with this. There's a famous story about a recording session where Queen's Freddie Mercury apparently walked out because Jackson had Bubbles sitting right there between them, asking the chimp for his opinion on the music. It really shows how much friction this bizarre lifestyle could cause.
And that tension, well, it was a sign of things to come. The whole fantasy of this human-chimp life was about to smash head first into the hard wall of reality.
And it really all boils down to one thing, this number, 160 pounds. By the early 2000s, Bubbles wasn't this little, cute companion anymore. He was a large, incredibly powerful, and a potentially dangerous wild animal.
And that really brings up the central problem here, right? It's a question for anyone who owns an exotic animal. What do you do when the cute, cuddly infant grows up into a powerful adult? The answer is never easy. So suddenly, this wasn't about celebrity anymore. This was about biology. As male chimps mature, their strength just skyrockets. Their behavior can get really unpredictable. And Jackson was reportedly becoming very worried about the safety of his own young kids. The fantasy, it was over. And that leads us right into Act 2 of Bubbles' life. In 2005, his Hollywood chapter officially closed for good, and a brand new one started in a place that was much quieter and, frankly, a lot more appropriate.
So he finally found his forever home at the Center for Great Apes in Florida. It's a sanctuary that's specifically designed for primates just like him, animals who've been retired from the entertainment industry or the exotic pet trade. His life now is a complete 180 from Neverland. He's 42, and he's actually the dominant male of his troop. He's got best friends, other chimps named Oopsie and Boma, and his favorite things are simple, like sweet potatoes and mangoes. After a lifetime of pretending to be human, he's finally getting to just be a chimpanzee. The transformation is it's incredible when you think about it. He went from being a human sidekick to an alpha leader of other chimps. He's even found a new hobby. He's an abstract painter, and his art actually gets sold to help support the sanctuary. And in maybe the biggest twist of all, the most photographed animal of the '80s is now famously camera shot.
So what's the takeaway from all this? His story is so much more than just a weird piece of pop culture history. It's a really profound case study that has a serious, lasting legacy. Because at the end of the day, his story really forces us to look at this whole issue of exotic pets. We're talking about wild animals, not species that have been domesticated over thousands of years, and bringing them into our world has some pretty serious consequences. And that's exactly why his story is so crucial to animal welfare advocates. The legendary primatologist Jane Goodall has pointed to Bubbles again and again as the ultimate example of why chimps and other great apes are just not meant to be pets.
And that responsibility? Well, it comes with a pretty hefty price tag. It costs over $30,000 a year to care for Bubbles at the sanctuary. And to their credit, that cost is still being covered by the Michael Jackson estate.
But here's a really important piece of the puzzle we have to add. Despite that completely bizarre upbringing, the staff who work with him today say he's a gentle, sweet, and remarkably well-adjusted member of his chimpanzee family. It seems like he's actually made a successful transition.
Which leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? How should we really remember Bubbles? Was he the beloved one-in-a-billion companion to a pop megastar? Or is he a powerful cautionary tale about what happens when we try to blur the line between wild animals and us? When you look at his whole story, he might just be both.